delegates to the spring convention. Order, order. The convention stands at order. I hereby call this spring convention of the Connecticut Association of Student Councils to order. Good morning, everybody. I'm Emily LaPut. I am from Woodland Regional High School, and I'm your state president. And I'm so grateful to have you here. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It's a reminder to please be respectful to the speakers and keep your cameras on and your mics muted when you ask to participate. Also, please spread kindness, not hate in the chat, and do not share phone numbers or any personal information. Before we get started, could you please snap a picture or selfie of your council members at this conference and tag us at hashtag CASCCon 2021 on social media. We encourage that you do this throughout the day so you can share how much fun you're having at the conference. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 2021 CAS Spring Convention, filling up your leadership bucket. We have 128 delegates from across the state with us today, which is amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us for this convention and build your leadership skills. I'm now going to turn the mic over to Mr. Christopher Tomlin, our Executive Director of CASC.
Thank you, Emily. Good morning, CASC delegates. My name is Christopher Tomlin. I'm the Executive Director of CASC. It's my distinct privilege to welcome all of you to this year's Spring Convention, filling up your leadership bucket. Today is a special meeting for myself, the State of Executive Board, and for my school. 1 year ago, this convention actually was the first event canceled due to COVID lockdown. So yes, it is amazing that we are finally able to get together and make this happen. This convention has a long history. 68 years ago, this body began to hold a spring convention. Though the times have changed, the importance of powering the youth of Connecticut is as relevant now as it was then. It's my sincere hope that as you go through your sessions today, you listen to your speakers, you listen to your fellow delegates, what they're sharing, and that your voice joins the conversation, that new ideas are born, friendships are made, and together we fill our leadership buckets. Thank you. Have a great convention.
I would like to introduce Mrs. Cherise Miller Adukwe, our Director of Student Activities.
Thank you very much, Emily. I'm so excited to be here today. Good morning, student council leaders, advisors, and administrators. My name is Cherise Miller Odukwe, Director of Student Activities at the Connecticut Association of Schools. On behalf of the Connecticut Association of Schools, we would like to welcome you to the 2021 Connecticut Association of Student Councils Convention. I would like to thank you all for being the resilient leaders that you are and continuing to embrace leadership. I would like to thank Christopher Tomlin along with his team and their hard work to make this convention possible this year. Filling your leadership bucket will start today, but be sure to continue filling it throughout the rest of your lives. I wish you all a great leadership experience today and enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Cherise.
For
Can I please ask everybody to mute themselves? Thank you. Gary McGuey is the high school practice leader for Franklin Covey Education. He is the former educator and athletic director and has spent traveling throughout North America as well as internationally. He has visited thousands of schools and has worked with administrators, educators, students, and families. Mr. McGuey is the former director of the Teens Division for Franklin Covey and is the co-author of The Inspirational Teacher and the Mentor, Leadership Trumps Bullying. Currently, Gary hosts a podcast entitled Reality Teen Talks, where he interviews teens from around the world on relevant teen topics. Learn it, live it, and give it is the message Gary conveys to his audiences through a variety of hands-on, interactive sessions. And now, let me introduce you to our keynote speaker, Mr. McGuey.
Thank you very much, Emily. Good morning, everybody. Excited to be here. Woke up 6 o'clock this morning, so I cannot wait to start having this discussion with these great leaders.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Okay.
I'm just gonna share my screen and just today is going to be a very interactive session. It's going to be a very high-end leadership discussion. I love the theme, filling up our leadership bucket. And as we go through this today, and as Cherie said, it's not so much about today, it's about what we choose to leave here with today. So we're gonna have some great discussions. We're gonna have some breakout room opportunities for you to talk with your neighbors. Once again, hopefully there's one or two things that really stand out to us as we leave here today. And I'm gonna just start off with this quote here, just for you to ponder. Leadership's a choice, not a position. Interesting, isn't it? Because many times we see leadership. In fact, let me show you this, and either put this in the chat box, or if you want to come off mute and just share, here's yesterday's leader, here's today's leader. Team, either in the chat box or just share out, what is this visual saying to us?
It's saying whether you have to follow, I don't remember.
First of all, I appreciate you jumping in there like that. Good for you, right?
If one person falls, would they all fall?
On the right one you're talking about with the white water?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so today's leader. Keep going, guys. What else are we seeing here? Yesterday's leader, today's leader.
In yesterday's leader, the leader is doing anything, and in today's leader, they're working with the crew.
Yeah, great comment, right? Yesterday's leader, look, these guys, they have no idea where they're going. Their backs are to, there's one vision, there's one person telling them what to do. Today's leader, if the arrow wasn't pointing at, you wouldn't be able to tell who the leader was. Very much, it's a shared vision, right? In fact, let me share this with you. This is Ford Motor Company's job description. And I just want a couple of these here. You got to speak English. You got to be able to stand for 12 hours. You got to follow the rules. What decade do we think this was written in, team? Just take a guess.
The 20s.
Give that person yes, the 20s. Good for you. Many times people think, oh, maybe the 60s, maybe it's written in the 20s, 1920s, not 2020s. But you know what's interesting? There's still organizations that still work this way in 2020, right? This is Apple's job description. And I love this third one down, ability to adapt to challenges while remaining calm in a constantly changing retail environment. So the question is, which organization would I rather be involved with, this one or this one? And absolutely it's this one, right? It makes sense. So think about this leaving here today. There's really only three types of power, three types of leadership. First one's called positional power, where basically I'm your boss and you do as I ask or do as I say because I have positional power over you. Does that make sense? When I'm no longer your boss, how much power do I have over you?
None.
Excellent. Here's a great leadership question to ponder, team. Would people follow us if we didn't have our title? Is that a great question? Would people follow us if we didn't have our title? The next type of power or leadership, I call it utility power, because we all have certain utilities or talents to offer other people. You do this for me, I'll do this for you, we'll get along. And many of us operate this way. I'm not saying it's wrong, but when I can't give you what you need, you're going to look somewhere else. Last type of power, principle-centered power. And I could ask everybody on this call right now to think of that influential role model, someone in our lives we'll never forget as long as we live. And why do they have such an impact on us? And I'll guarantee because the way they have led their lives based on words like integrity and respect and love and empathy, principles. That's really what leadership is all about, principle-centered leadership. And I'd like to lead off with a video here. Before we do that, team, can you just go in the chat box? And when you hear the word leadership, can you just throw in, what are some words that come to mind when you hear the word leadership? Let's just take 30 seconds to fill up the chat box. Okay, unity, role model, courage, kindness, integrity, companionship, headstrong, voice. We could probably spend the next hour coming up with words, right? Great job on this, team. Honesty, mindfulness, fearless. So team, I'd like to share this video. It's called Rethinking Leadership. It's about a 3-minute clip. After the video, let's come back to the chat box and let's share out what are some other thoughts around this word leadership. So team, let's head back to the chat box. Beautiful video, inspiring video. What are some other thoughts that come to mind around this word leadership after the video, please? Character, empowering, selflessness, gratitude. I mean, just perfect words, team. Great job. Persistence. I mean, just every word is just dripping with this word around leadership, right? So this is Dr. Covey, who wrote this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People 30 years ago. The book still sells 4,000 copies a week to this day, but this is his heart of hearts definition of leadership. Just read this for a second. Just read it to yourself and kind of embrace this for a moment. Think what it's really saying to us. I mean, when it comes right down to it, this is what leadership is all about. It's not about a title. It's not about a position. As you say, it's about character. It's about integrity. It's about contribution. It's about empathy. So here's a question to this team. Now I'm coming high-end leadership here, team, for this, right? So here's a question for all of us. How can I be a more effective leader? Because everybody in this call is in a leadership position. And I just want you to take a look at this. And as you're looking at this, is there something that we find intriguing, jumps out at us? Once again, you can come off mute or share in the chat box.
It really sticks out to me that it's a skill that can be learned. I think a lot of people think of natural born leaders who just know how to lead from birth. And I don't think that that's always the case, which is great.
It's a huge comment, Charlie. Thank you for that. Right? Yeah, Lori's saying you need to be willing to do the work with others, right? Know when to step back. So once again, and there's something you see here. I mean, I'll share these slides with Christopher and his team, guys. So if there's something here, you said that was really good. I'd like to get a copy of that, without a doubt. Okay. So once again, here's the challenge in today's world: not enough ready now leaders. It's good news for us. Good news for you guys as we're going through this leadership development discussions here, right? So leadership breakdown. So I've been doing this for over 20 years, traveling around the country, talking with various groups, educational, government. And here's really the 4 leadership breakdowns. First and foremost, trust. Trust is everything. Okay, trust is everything. So when there's trust issues, there's a huge breakdown, first and foremost. Secondly, we have no clear vision or strategy. Just think on that one for a moment. What is our vision? What is our strategy? Third, the inability to execute on our priorities. Well, now think about this. If we're not sure about our vision, then how do we know what to truly execute on? And here's an interesting statistic. I'd like to share this out. 70% of strategic failures, it's not because of lack of smarts or vision, it's poor execution. It's poor follow through. Team, execution is everything. The last breakdown is that people do not truly feel that they're being maximized to their fullest potential. I feel underutilized. Boy, given the chance, I could do so much more. So I hope this makes sense. These are the leadership breakdowns. So what do we do about this? Well, we're going to be talking about some of this today, these 4 essential roles. We're going to talk about trust. We're going to talk about vision today. But these are the 4 essential roles. The ability to create trust. That's who we are as a leader. And then the ability to create a shared vision, the ability to execute on our priorities and coach the potential of our team. It's good stuff, isn't it? So think on this, team. There's levels of engagement. Now, the deepest human need is to be valued. When we're valued, we want to contribute. When I'm not feeling valued, when I feel I'm being managed, at best, you're going to get indifferent compliance at best. And then it goes downhill from there. I mean, we're talking culture right here. And we go from indifferent compliance to resentful obedience all the way down to where people rebel or quit. Not a very healthy culture, is it? But when we have this trust, when we have a shared vision, we're working up in the blue, willing cooperation all the way to creative excitement. And as a leader, we have this choice to create this culture. Powerful stuff. I always ask people, where would you put yourself? Right? If I'm working with a group of students, I say, where would you put yourself right now on this list at school? Where do you feel you're at? It's an interesting thought here. And the goal, once again, leadership, we want to get up to the blue. Yeah. And this is ultimately what we want everybody on our team to be feeling, to be saying. And I'll just let you read that to yourself. Powerful. How do we get to this? Because this is really what we're striving for. Well, first of all, we need to work so teammates do feel valued. Look for opportunities, leaders. Secondly, we want people to feel they're part of a winning team. Winning in the sense that morale is good. We're getting things done. We feel really good about ourselves. The third driver is we're doing meaningful work. We're aligned to our mission. We're making a difference. And then once again, we're in this environment of trust. Yeah. So we're going to take this to a video here, and then we're going to go. So the video, it's about 9 minutes long. It's a powerful leadership video around this team that climbed Mount Everest. As we're watching this video, what were some key leadership takeaways for us? After the video, we're going to head into a breakout of about 4 or 5 people in a breakout. And we just want to have this discussion around what were some key leadership takeaways. Let's watch.
Mount Everest, the tallest point on Earth. For a sighted person, climbing Mount Everest is one of the greatest physical challenges on the face of the Earth. Ever since I went blind, it's been a dream in the back of my mind to climb the world's tallest peak.
When we started thinking about climbing Everest, a lot of the Himalayan experts sort of came out of the woodwork and said I'd be a liability up there, that I'd kill myself, I'd kill my team. There are always going to be people who think you're crazy, and then there are also going to be those who do share your vision.
The truth of the matter is Everest was a very, very difficult climb. It was dangerous.
I knew that only 10% of the people who try Everest make it to the top, and for every 6 people who summit, I've heard 1 dies.
First time I met Eric was at a trade show.
He asked me, he said, "You ever thought of climbing Everest?"
He said he never climbed Everest, but he wanted to.
PV is probably one of the best leaders that I've ever seen in real life.
Probably one of his strongest attributes is his energy and positive attitude, and he would never have people do things that he wouldn't do himself.
A great leader is not afraid to share leadership.
As a blind person, I knew I could never get to the summit of Everest alone. And what would get me to the top wasn't necessarily technology. What would get me to the summit were the people that I surrounded myself with.
Most teams are torn apart by egos. There were some people I wanted to bring on the expedition that I decided not to bring on the expedition because I knew they could not be good team members.
PV wanted people who knew the Himalayas well, who knew Everest well.
But equally important, I feel, was getting a series of climbers that Eric has climbed with in the past that may or may not be great Himalayan people, but Eric trusted. I think in the success of an expedition, trust is the most important ingredient. Without trust, there's nothing.
If you can unify people with one vision, it becomes that rallying point, and it becomes a team that's unstoppable.
We were all committed to a single purpose. And that single purpose was helping Eric get to the summit of Mount Everest. So there was a big meaning to the expedition. We knew that unless Eric could climb through the Khumbu icefall effectively, quickly, and safely, that he stood no chance of climbing Mount Everest.
My first trip through the icefall was the hardest day of my life in the mountains. Every step could kill me.
Well, 13 hours through the icefall is terrible. He was thoroughly exhausted, as tired as I've ever seen a climber in his life. There was blood pouring out of Eric's nose. It was all over his clothes where he had been hit in the face and almost fell in a crevasse. He collapsed inside the tent when I walked out, and the rest of the team was outside. I told him, this can't happen. Unless we can change this, unless we can get Eric through this thing faster, we might as well turn around and go home. Unbeknownst to me, Eric was listening to me. He wasn't asleep. And he told me later on, he says it was one of the most down periods of time in his life.
I told Eric, do you think you can do this? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, well, if you don't think you can, you're not going to,
I forced myself to sit in front of my tent and envision myself and my team on the top, to actually believe myself forward.
Giving him more time and practice, he got better.
A lot of my improved success had to do with my teammates. They began to understand how to tap certain things and give me information, and how to communicate real succinctly.
Unclip that ATC. Nope, not that way, Bubba. There you go. Before you know it, we were speeding through there. We were passing people, which was cool. Sighted people, other teams.
On summit day, he actually made it from base camp, past Camp 1, all the way to Camp 2 in less than 5 hours, which even for a sighted climber is an incredible feat. We set up a nightly tent meeting because it was a very effective way to get a lot of communication across. And I'd ask people, do you have problems? Are there concerns? What do you think? I think if you really pay attention and give people credit and don't belittle people and you just listen to what they say, it's really effective.
So if I do have to turn back, I'm just curious. I mean, what's the plan? I'll feel totally bad because I'll ruin probably someone or one or two person summit day.
This whole thing's about you.
This whole thing's about you, man.
Hopefully everybody realizes that we've got a prerogative here and that's to get Eric to the top.
Above Camp 3, you enter what's called the death zone. It's where your body has stopped acclimatizing. You got to get to the summit now as quickly as you can.
I'm nervous. What are you nervous about? No reasons. No reasons. It's not like we're going to be climbing to the top of the world.
Our plan is to leave Camp 4 around 8:30 p.m. and climb all through the night. If things work out, we hope to make summit by late morning.
It's dark. For the first time, we're kind of on Eric's turf.
Leaving on summit day, we got up, we're ready to go, everybody's feeling good, and I felt cold. The higher I got, the sicker I got, and it dawned on me that I had malaria. And I've had malaria 8 times. I caught it originally in Africa, and it keeps coming back when there's a lot of stress.
TV is coming down. He's feeling really bad. He's moving very slowly. He might need some help.
The goal of the expedition was not to have me summit. It was absolutely the most difficult decision I've ever made in my life. I had spent 2 years of my life working on this expedition, planning on this expedition, dreaming about standing with Eric at the summit.
And that night, he did an exceptional thing, you know, when he realized that if he kept going, he was going to be a liability. He's a great leader, and any leader knows when to step back.
When this storm came in really fast from the south,
Still waiting for the weather, but weather is very bad.
All my planning, the one thing I forgot was to appoint an assistant team leader.
we were leaderless. Some of us wanted to go forward, some of us wanted to turn back. We're in a crisis. It's really amazing that when you really need it, leadership seems to spring from the most unexpected places. Because Kevin, our base camp manager, you know, his job was to set up tents and organize gear and to do less glamorous things like clean the bathroom tents. He had taken it upon himself to understand these very complex weather patterns and charts and graphs that he was seeing over the internet.
Mike, I know you guys are in a storm right now. It's snowing, it's very windy, but from down here, it is clearing up. Just push forward. You guys are going to do great. You'll have good weather within the hour. Over.
It certainly helps to hear them say, hey, it's getting better, hang in there.
And as we're moving up about 28,000 feet, Brad yells down, you know, the ropes are buried.
And the only way to get them out is to dig it out and then you pull it. It sounds like an easy thing, but when it's crusted over and you're only breathing a third as much oxygen, you know, it's a pretty tough job. Those guys probably really didn't need those fixed lines. They probably could have walked right past them and kept going, but they knew the rest of us needed them. And they knew Eric needed them.
I remember processing that, sitting at that one spot and thinking very clearly, if I do this, I'm not going to be able to go to the top. I remember that last tug of the rope, pulling it, and poof, I saw it shoot up to the south summit, and I remember just being flooded with joy.
I was so deflated because I knew that he had just sacrificed his own attempt for me.
He's like, you know, I got to go, though, right? I said, I want you to. That's why I did this.
I don't even think they questioned themselves. I think they just went out there and did it.
I watched him hop off the back of the south summit, and I thought to myself, there is no way I'm going to let that blind guy go stand on top of the world and have to hear about it the rest of my life. So I hopped right down behind him.
I can't believe it.
Good job, Eric. You did it, man. We're on top of the world. We are on top of the world.
When I heard he made it, and then I heard like everybody made it on the team, I was thinking, man, I could never have hoped for better success than that.
We all did it, and that's even cooler than if I went over and just did it on my own.
I don't think certain people are destined to lead and others are destined to follow. I think leadership is inside everyone. My team on Everest may not have been a bunch of superstars, but they stepped up and they led when it mattered. I don't think I'm very different from anyone else. I think everyone has a yearning for greatness inside them. That ability to reach out into uncertainty, in a sense, I guess, to climb blind.
So team, a beautiful video, powerful video. We're going to put you into breakout rooms right now for about 5 or 6 minutes. Let's go 5 minutes, team. And here's a couple of questions. You know, what are some key leadership lessons from the video? And when we come back, maybe we can share out or put them in the chat box. So Christopher, are you ready to put them in the breakouts?
All set.
All right, guys, enjoy your session. Enjoy your discussions. We'll see you back here in about 5, 6 minutes. So team, first of all, great job with that. Thank you so much. Either in the chat box, or if you want to just come off mute and maybe just share something valuable in your discussions around this powerful video. Helping others succeed equals leadership, right? Yeah, that's a great one, Jen. He's a great leader, and leaders know when to step back. Powerful, right?
Be a leader, not a follower.
Be a leader, not a follower. They kept getting better, didn't they? I mean, they had these nightly tent meetings. They communicated.
It was nice to know that the person who was originally leader didn't want to benefit himself. He wanted to benefit the cause and the majority of the group. So that was good. Like that he knew that if he got sick, he had to step back instead of like trying to push through just so that he could say that he got to the top. He just wanted to like, you know, like work for the greater cause, I guess.
Nice. What was the goal of the expedition, team? The goal was to get Eric to the top. Was everybody crystal clear on the goal? Without a doubt. Now, once again, this may not seem like a big deal. This is huge in leadership because sometimes we think people know the goal and they don't. So in being able to create this shared vision, helping people establish and articulate the goal, right? So yeah, I mean, unified purpose. They knew what their goal was. I always love watching people's faces when he's crossing the ladder. And people, how many of us are saying, there's no way I would do that. And sometimes it's a great metaphor because sometimes
I'm afraid of heights.
Right? Yeah. And sometimes because of that fear, we may not get to greatness. We may just stay here on this side where it's safe and it's okay. But if we're after greatness, sometimes we have to take, and I'm not saying a reckless risk, but it's just a great video here. So let's just, great discussions here, team. And I just wanted to bring this back to, we're talking about trust being everything. And we can't get too heavy into this. So we're going to kind of go from a 35,000 foot around trust. But I'd just like you to look at this quote here from Warren Buffett. Anybody want to, what's this saying to us when you read this quote?
It kind of displays how people act different when they don't trust you. Like they're not as comfortable around you.
Nice, Nicholas.
Right.
Trust is everything.
You have to trust people you work with.
Right? And trust. Here's the good news, team. Trust starts with me. Starts with me first. Am I here? In fact, let me show you what we call here. It's really two things. It's character and competence that makes up trust. And I call this the 4 cores of credibility here, right? Just think of these 4 words: integrity and intent. That makes up my character as a leader, as a person. And then my capabilities and my results, that's my competency. Now, all 4 of these make me credible as a leader. And we're not going to get too heavy into this right now, but I once again, look at these 4 words. Think about, how am I doing when it comes to this word integrity? My intent. This is a great leadership takeaway, guys. It's truly important when you're working on a project, a new project, or maybe you're working with some organization where there might be some trust issues. It's really important that we declare our intent. If we don't declare our intent, that's when suspicion creeps in, or people assume, or they're wondering, what are they really after? So once again, there's 4 cores of credibility. Hopefully we have another time down the road, we can take a deeper dive into these 4 cores of credibility, this piece around trust. Now, I want to give you a couple of tangible things here around language. And I want you to just think about this quote, that every time we open our mouths, we're establishing culture. Every time we open our mouths, we're establishing culture. So when you look at the slide, these are people that have somewhat of a reactive negative behavior in language, right? They whine and complain. They're blaming others. They're victims. The language, you ruined my day. I have to do this. I must do this. It is what it is. Do me a favor, guys. We'll do a little self-talk here, just on your own. Think about what's today. Today's Thursday. Think about everything you have to do the next 5 days, okay? And just in your own, just talk to yourself, but start off every sentence with, I have to, or I must. What do you have to, must do the next 5 days? Just take 20 seconds on your own. Team, in the chat box, could we jot down some words? How does it feel when we use this language? How does it feel when we use this language? Restricting, draining, exhausting, stress. I know why a couple of you are saying motivating. I understand why you're saying that, right? Upsetting, unrealistic, stressful, pressure. I mean, there's research here, team, that the more negative, reactive our language releases the stress hormone, cortisol, and it starts to hardwire the brain. It's a fact. In fact, there's a study out there that suggests we speak 16,000 words a day, and people go, that's a lot. But check this stat out. 80%
could also be peer pressured too.
Say that, go ahead with Sabrina with that again.
You could also be peer pressured too.
Nice. Now, when you say peer pressure, because there's 2 types, right? There's positive and there's negative peer pressure, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great comment though. But check out this next 80% of the time, team. I mean, I'm not making this up. This is what 80% of the time our language, as people, not teens, as people, we are criticizing or complaining. Man, what's that doing to this poor brain of ours? Empowering, proactive language. Focus on solutions. Come from a solutions mindset. Language, going to, choose to, get to, yes, no, prefer. Once again, on our own, 20 seconds, talk about the exact same things you just talked about. Instead of starting off with I have to or I must, let's replace it with going to or choose to. Have fun. Let's come back to the chat box, team. How did it feel second time around? Reassuring, uplifting, we get to, motivating. Once again, this isn't just some cute pedestrian activity. This is a powerful activity that reminds us the power of language. Am I using language of leadership? So that's another thing in leadership. When you're creating a culture, you need a common language, right? To establish a common language. So great job with that. I know I'm looking at the time here. It's already 9:47. So I want to come over here to a moment, just to leaving here today, right? 3 words to think about leaving here today. I, you, but. And I said, what could be more empowering than the word I? We. What could be more empowering than the word you? Us. The word but. Nicholas, I like that idea, but have you considered this? Versus, Nicholas, I like this idea, and have you considered this? Once again, just think about this leaving here today. Before we hit send on our next email or our text, just reread it. Am I using a lot of I, you, but? Could we look for opportunities to use we, us, and? Very empowering language here. So this thing around trust, the trust in culture, credibility, and behavior. So the next piece, I just want to share this with you. 13 behaviors of high trust leaders. And I'm guessing some of you say, hey, I want more. Give me some more leadership. There's a book out there called The Speed of Trust. The Speed of Trust. And that really, Stephen M.R. Covey talks about these 13. This is what you do as a leader, right? The
Is
four
it
forces.
an online book?
Yeah, it could be. Just Google, Sabrina, The Speed of Trust. And I'll give you my email team too if you want to talk more on this stuff. But this is good stuff right here. I'm a huge proponent of number 11, team. Listen first. Probably the number 1 leadership skill is to be an effective listener, and we take it for granted. I'll be with a group of adults and I'll say, guys, write down how many listening classes you've attended and how many formal listening classes you've attended in your careers. And most people, the answer is 0. Even though we get it, it's important. We're not good listeners. We're very good responders. And I just want you to think about this. We have greater influence with others when we truly understand them, not agree or disagree, understand them first. So the last piece I want to share with you here, okay, is over here around mission and vision, okay? In the spirit of leadership, this is good stuff here, okay? 3 words. Mission is our why. And I'm sharing this right now, and I travel around with many organizations. I would say a very high % of organizations do not have relevant, inspiring mission statements, which should be recitable, which should be, this is our why. This is why we exist. This gives us permission to say yes and no to things, mission. So mission is our why. Vision is our where. Should almost be futuristic when we write a vision statement. This is where we're heading. Should be measurable. Shouldn't just be a bunch of words that sound good. And then how do we get there is our strategy. Yeah? So we have a 2-minute video here around vision. And it's President John F. Kennedy talking about why we're choosing to go to the moon. So once again, as we're watching this video, team, in the chat box, let's just share out what were some key takeaways for us.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. and the others too, we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
So team, let's go to the chat box here, or come off mute if you like. What were some key takeaways from that powerful visionary video of JFK? Well informed, use the language of leadership. Very compelling. Very visionary, right? When you think about it, I mean, he's talking about stuff that hasn't been invented yet. Hey, we're going to the moon and back safely. Clear, compelling. He was very charismatic, right? Now, the last piece I want to just share around mission and vision. If there's no involvement, there's no commitment, leaders. No involvement, no commitment. Never announce anything to anybody and expect them to embrace it. Meaning, don't be part of a team. Say, we're going to work on a new mission statement. Guys, here it is. Ta-da. Look, doesn't it sound great? If people aren't involved in the process, I call it framed whatever. So no involvement, no commitment is a key leadership takeaway. Yeah. So in our last few minutes here, would love to hear from you, either to come off mic or in the chat box. I think I have a question here. Yeah, what were one or two key leadership takeaways from today? One or two key leadership takeaways.
You have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone.
Nice. Thank you, Sabrina. What's another takeaway, team? Either chat box or...
You sometimes have to be the one to make a sacrifice.
Thank you, Jeff. Gabrielle, don't be selfish. Trust and listening. Potential. Everyone has the potential.
Trust who you're working with also.
I love the way you just said that. I mean, extend trust. When you trust people, many times they'll live up to that expectation. Yeah?
Yes.
Good for you. Thank you for that. So team, once again, as we started from the beginning, it's not about this hour. Hopefully there's some key takeaways for us that leaving here today we can reflect on, apply, practice in the spirit of leadership. Once again, leadership starts with me first. I just want to first of all say thank you very much. You guys were a very engaging, purposeful audience. So I really appreciate your leadership right today. So guys, thank you so much. I'm going to turn it back over to the team, and hopefully we'll see you down the road. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miguel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miguel, for those amazing words on leadership. Good morning. I'm Mel Shkreppi, CASC Vice President from Thomason High School. We will now be going into our first workshop session. In a moment, you'll be joining one of our 4 breakout sessions. As a reminder, these sessions are option 1, mental wellness, being your own personal cheerleader. This is by the CASC Executive Board. Anti-bullying, socialize together. Trello, This is from Emma Wood, Caroline Osborne from WRSG. We have option 4, Motivating the Middle, Noel Guerra from FUSA. Advisors, you'll be staying here in the main room for an advisors meeting. And remember, as you go through the day, be sure to fill up, as you go through the day, to be filling up your leadership bucket with new ideas to take back to your school.
So I'm just clarifying, I think from my understanding, we have about 10 minutes with the advisors. Is that correct? Okay, perfect. So Tim, I'm just going to share my screen again. First, thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity. So as you may know, so Dana Jean Stewart's on the call here on the Zoom with us as well. And both Dana Jean and I work for a company called Franklin Covey. As most of you probably know, it's one of the world's renowned leadership companies. And we work with high schools, bring our leadership content in. I just want to share something very simple with you guys today. I want you to take a look at these leadership courses. I just brought this up because whenever we talk to schools, we ask them what is their why? Why do they want to bring this content in? And usually it comes down to these questions or these comments right here. And I think we can all agree on this, being educators. Even while we're having this conference, when you heard the breakout rooms, I heard mindfulness, anti-bullying, right? Top 10 skills, what we're hiring people for in this day and age. I mean, this is really what we're teaching in these leadership skills. Like what we talked about today, that PowerPoint that I would do that if I had a group of superintendents, it would be the same content, the same message. So the team got some really top of the line leadership discussions today, but I think this is a good slide too, to remember what we're being hired for today in today's world. So what we've done is, I don't know how many are familiar with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. 30th anniversary this year, team. 50 million copies sold. Still sells 4,000 copies a week to this day. Why? Because it's just based on principles of effectiveness that endure. And here's the principles that are aligned with the habits right here. And I think it's really, you talked about in leadership, the importance of having common language. I think in organizations too, it's important to decide, what are our principles? You hear core values. So these are the principles that are aligned with the 7 habits. But here's what I want to show this. So we've taken the best of our Franklin Covey content and we've infused it into these 4 high school leadership courses. And if you're saying this is good, can we get a copy of this? Dana Jean will hook anybody up who wants more information on this, right? So as you can see, it's not just 7 habits. I would say 7 habits is the glue, it's the mortar, and then you get to apply it to find your voice and to take charge. We talked a lot today about content that's in Inspire Others today. So we have discussions with schools, what's the best way to bring this in? Advisory or however. We have a digital platform as well. All this content. We have a self-paced digital platform, which during COVID was huge for some schools, as you can imagine. Team, I'm just curious, as you're looking at this, is anything jumping out at you? Any questions or comments you may have?
Are these 4, you said these 4 courses, this one course, this is 4 courses, and what kind of time frame do you need for them?
So great question, Terry. I would almost look at these, it could be either a semester per course, might be a good time, or it could be for the whole year, depending on what meets your needs. What is your end in mind as you're bringing this in?
I don't know, but you had said something about advisory, but I don't think, it doesn't look to me like something that can be done in advisory.
Yeah, we work with schools to decide we always meet schools where they're at. We don't force this in anyway. It has to make sense to the school, right? We also see, Terry, we see a lot of students becoming peer facilitators for this, which is another powerful leadership skill opportunity. And I know the group of students on this call right now, I would bet that they could all do a great job of facilitating this content.
I'm impressed with how engaged these kids are in your presentation, but I think your presentation invites it.
Well, thank you, but I get goosebumps every time I work with high school kids because they say things that, where'd that come? Oh my goodness, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
We just need to get out of their way, you know? So, and then another thing, so here's the digital portal that we have too. And once again, if you're saying, I'd like more information on this, so I'm going to give you Dana Jean's information here in a moment, team. But I refer to these as leadership groups where we facilitate these content where it's very relaxed and not so much pen in hand filling up. It's an organic leadership discussion, kind of like we had today. We had a leadership discussion today, didn't we, with the team? So one other icing on the cake, I guess. We've recently been accredited by ACE, American Council of Education, is recognizing us for students who complete the course. They can take an exam. It's approximately about an hour exam, and they can receive 2 college credits per course. So this is brand new. Like IB or AP, they would pay for the cost to go take the exam at the end of the year. So here's what I want you to. This is Dana Jean .stewart@franklincovey.com. Dana Jean, do you want to introduce yourself to the group, please?
I would. Thank you, Gary. So I represent Franklin Covey education within the pre-K to 12 space across all 6 New England states. We have Leader in Me schools throughout New England, elementary through high school. And if this content is of interest to you, I'm more than happy to connect and talk about ways we can work with your high school to incorporate some of this, as Gary said, these leadership discussions for these students. So please don't hesitate to reach out and we can dive into this in more detail if you're interested.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Dana Jean. So, team, we just want to share this with you. I know you have a lot of things going on today, but first of all, we just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity. Christopher, thank you so much. Students were brilliant, guys. You have a great group there, and hopefully we can work together down the road. So thank you so much. And, you have Dana Jean's email. Christopher has my email as well. If you want to ask some other questions, anytime. So thank you so much, guys. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you.
You guys enjoy the rest of your conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. So, real quick, how is everyone doing? It has been a crazy year. All of you back 100%, 75, 50? Where's everyone at? All right, let's start in the beginning. All right, how many of you are having live meetings with your group? Okay, excellent, excellent. We went virtual for about 3 months with clubs and activities, but we've been fortunate throughout most of the year. We've been able to meet constantly as a group. We're actually going back to 75% in 2 weeks. I'm a teacher at Woodland Regional High School. So yeah, about 2 weeks, we're going back to 75% on a 4-day rotating schedule. So it's going to be another layer of fun, going from 2 cohorts to 4 cohorts. So while I have you guys for another 10 minutes, I just wanted to see how all of you are doing. If there's anything that we can do for you for CASC, thank you all for joining. I mean, it is so exciting that we can finally be together. Like I said, this was the first event in Connecticut canceled a year ago. And that today just feels so awesome that we can finally do this. So thank you for coming out and getting your student leaders to come out. It means so much to the board, to myself, that we can finally begin to get back to normal. So Coming up in the state, the next thing we have going on is, you can hear I'm at school. The next thing we have going on is our Adventures in Leadership in May. You're gonna be finding out more about that. It's gonna be another virtual, but I'll give you some details about that. We're kind of excited about this event. And that would wrap up our events for the year. Is there anything that, you know, going into the future, is there anything that you're looking for that would help support you? We have the advisor boards up there. I'm going to be pushing out an email reminding everyone about those. I would love for us to start using those to be able to communicate with each other so that we can begin to build our community of advisors. But is there anything particular any of you need, other than for the pandemic to end and everything go back to normal, or to be on a beach somewhere on an island? Beyond that, is there anything anyone?
Can you explain what you mean by the advisor boards are up there?
So I had created during the pandemic advisor discussion boards. I had emailed everybody. I'll push those out again. I did it right at the beginning of pandemic. I think there was like 4 of us who posted, and then it kind of died out. So I'm going to be pushing that again. Like I said, I would love for us to build community, for us to be able to communicate more than twice a year at conference or convention. Would you like to do some advisor workshops? Would you be interested in having officer training for your officers? You guys are a quiet group this morning. It's like I'm teaching my freshmen.
So I just have a quick question. So I think advisor workshops are very important. What time of the year do you guys think that would be better for you? Like to start the year off with a workshop and then maybe plan for the year, or mid-year? Because I know in the beginning of the year it's quite hectic. What would be a better time for you to have that advisor workshop, or maybe even multiple times a year?
Could there be something maybe considered in the before the school year, like late summer, like 2 weeks before, a week before? I know that's harder, but when the school year is rolling, it's kind of hard right at the beginning. I know the summer sounds a little crazy too, but I think for student leaders, if they knew ahead of time, they could plan for it. Just a thought.
Yeah. I think summer is good.
I do think too, we used to attend the state board meetings a few years back before our district decided we couldn't do any more field trips. So I think that even when we move out of this, having this Zoom component for kids, you know, we actually started doing that years ago. They would Zoom into those board meetings because it's difficult to get there sometimes, but being able to still have that interaction across the state, I think is really important for students.
Yeah.
And that's, Rachel, that's something we've been talking about the board, that when this is all over, a lot of these Zoom meetings, a lot of this it's going to stay. You know, we would like to get convention back to being live, but, you know, one-offs in the fall, one-offs over winter time of like, hey, you know, it's 6 p.m. Tuesday night, jump on Zoom or something like that. That's going to be staying as part of the repertoire. I mean, we have the experience now, we have the infrastructure, and like I said, my district this time of year gets very picky about field trips. You know, that there's kind of like an unwritten rule. Once you get to a certain point, it gets really dicey of whether or not it can work out. So
I'm not sure what's going on in your schools, but I feel like field trips, it might be a little while before students are able to go on field trips again. I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like at least not until next year, maybe after January, if even. And I've also noticed that the Zoom meetings, even though it's much better, I'm definitely an in-person. I prefer in person, but like as far as like planning meetings or getting together to bounce ideas off of each other, the attendance is just phenomenal with the meetings on Zoom. So that's, like Christopher said, I think that's a great component that should stick around.
I don't know how many of you guys use Zoom with your locals, but we're a Google school, so we use our G Meet. I have committees meeting, 5 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. I'll get a message, hey, can you open the G Meet? We're meeting real quickly Sunday at about, my officers love to meet Sunday evenings for some reason. So Sunday around 6, 7 o'clock, I get a message, hey, is the G Meet open yet? So all these components that are definitely gonna have to stay. We have about 5 minutes to the end of this session. What I'm going to be asking to do is I'm going to be asking everyone to go and rename themselves with the numbers of their breakout sessions. So like 1, 2, and then your name, just to make it a little bit easier. So Sharice, I think that's the way I'm going to go. That was absolutely insane trying to put everybody into their groups. In my head, that was going to be so super quick. So that's what
I think that's a very creative, very creative. I would have never thought of that.
I had 2 of my student leaders sitting next to me with documents open, doing the search, Control F. I'm like just saying names and they're frantically typing over here. So
they may just need a quick lesson on how to rename themselves, which is very easy. But
excellent. Excellent. So yeah, gang, so just real quickly going over the schedule for the rest of the day. So after this, we have a 15-minute presentation about service project. It's a really cool program. I would love for all the schools to participate in it. After that, we're going to be going into district meetings. So the eastern half of the state, the central half, and the western half. There's a different member of the board who's going to be talking to you guys during that time period. And during that time period, we're going to ask everyone to go through and renumber themselves. And then we have our last 2 workout sessions, and then our general session with the election of our state board for next year. That looks like it's the day. Oh, also, I'm going to be emailing all of you the ballot in a little bit. So when it comes down to election time, just talk it over with your delegations, and each school gets 2 votes. So there's 1 candidate for state president, 2 for secretary treasurer. All right, looks like time is up, gang.
Yeah, I needed you. Just remind just loving kindness in our community and beyond. Join us to recognize the good, celebrate the supportive, and elevate the impact of positivity. So I'll take it over to Diana.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me be a part of your beautiful conference. I'm Diana Demjanovic, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Grateful Vibes Only, which is a nonprofit that we started in Oxford, Connecticut. Then I'm going to lead you into a wonderful discovery we found this year about an organization called lettersforourElders.org. And that is the segment that I'm going to discuss with you guys in terms of service, okay? So Grateful Vibes Only was founded in 2019 in Oxford. And essentially it started because I had a big birthday and I wanted to commemorate it with something special. And I love to live with gratitude. And I think it's an important thing to share with others. So that is how Grateful Vibes Only was started. And we are a nonprofit, and I have volunteers on my board. And I just like to go through their names because they're important to our cause as well. So we have Suma Shad, we have Donna Sorensen, Dory Perletta, we have Tracy Pelletier. We also have Kate Broff, who does all of our graphics and web design, really essential for us. We also have Marsha Laput, who is our vice president. And we also have Emily Laput on our team as well. We like to call her Dance Master E, as she's been involved in some of our events. Okay. So a little bit more about Grateful Vibes Only, which I think you guys might find interesting, is we created these cards. And they say, I'm grateful for you today, pass them on. And what we like about these cards is that it's just a good, quick way to say thank you to someone. You could leave it in someone's mailbox. You could put it between your iPhone and your iPhone case and give it to someone that you see out and about that has done something kind or that you appreciate. And now more so than ever, these are probably great to give to teachers and to people who support the community through EMS or firefighters. So that's a little bit about Grateful Vibes Only. Now I want to talk to you about how we came upon this opportunity to show acts of kindness by writing letters or sending cards. I just happened to be on Facebook and I saw a pop-up for letters for loveforourelders.org. And I saw they were doing an event where they were writing letters for seniors. So I looked into it and I joined their Zoom call. And let me tell you a little bit about this organization. Love for Our Elders was actually started by someone who was maybe 12 or 13 years old at the time. I'm not 100% sure. His name is Jacob Kramer, and he lost his grandfather, and it was upsetting for him. And so he continued to go to visit elderly people at senior centers or senior living facilities. And what he noticed was an epidemic of loneliness. And so he started the organization, and now he is a third-year student at Yale University. And you guys, this is phenomenal. So what they do is they write letters or cards, and they have 50,000 volunteers across the globe. They receive letters from 70 countries, and they have 900 different senior facilities throughout the United States. So what happens is you as an individual can write a letter. You can create a letter writing campaign in your school, and you can send it to this organization. And I believe you guys have the address. You can send it to the organization, and they have sponsors that help them fund getting these letters to seniors. So it really is a phenomenal thing to do to show kindness for others, especially seniors. In 2020, as you know, with the pandemic, there has been a great deal of isolation. So I'm just going to give you some information that I found out on their website just yesterday. In 2020, they noted that 7.7 million community dwelling adults, 65 and older, were socially isolated, okay? And research has shown that when elders feel isolated and lonely, it can actually cause other issues for them, unfortunately. It can cause earlier onset dementia, heart disease, and other things. So I just think it's a wonderful idea for whether it's 16-year-olds or 30-year-olds or 50-year-olds to think about our seniors and to write letters to them. Now, in addition to writing letters to seniors, another organization that Grateful Vibes Only sent cards to in 2019 was called Hugs for Soldiers. And what they do is they take cards of gratitude to our troops and mail them to various places throughout the world. Another great organization and another wonderful extension of how to show gratitude to the men and the women that are serving our great country and our freedom. So you should have that information as well that was sent to you delegates. Now, what I thought I would do is I would just explain to you why it's so important to write letters versus sending an email. We are living in a world where technology is amazing. And it creates efficiency and it creates expediency. Okay, email it. You can send it through Instagram. You can send it through Facebook. It's about expediency. But when you write a letter, you are actually focusing on effort and you're focusing on time. And I think that is what the recipient will feel from your cards and from your letters. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I'm sure that it does. Next, I want to let you know that Oxford High School, which is the town that I reside in, we are working with senior delegates there currently, and they decided they want to write letters to give to our local Oxford Senior Center, which is great because it's within our community, and it's something that they can actually deliver to the senior center. And that, in fact, is what they're going to do. We have a day scheduled. I believe it is April 15th. We're Grateful Vibes only, and some of these seniors, and it's still a secret to the attendees of the senior center. We're going to greet them, have lunch with them, and share these letters with them. So what I did was I actually brought a couple examples of the letters. So one thing that Love for Our Elders has talked about, things that you can do regarding these letters. You could also write cards, and I actually think cards are fun. So this is an example of a card, and you can actually get 6 for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And so that is what we did. And they do encourage that you go ahead and decorate the envelope. So this one says, "Be happy." And again, these are done by the students at Oxford High School. "You matter." And another one is, "Never give up because great things take time." So that is encouraged. Now, what I'd like to do is just take a minute to actually read a card or two for you guys, so you know what they're looking for. So it starts off by greeting the person and not necessarily using any first names because you don't know who the individual is, but you can say, "Hi, friend," or "Dear friend." And in this case, the individual wrote, "Hi, we are so excited to be writing to you today. I know this past year has been rough and has had its ups and downs, but there is so much to look forward to in these upcoming warm spring months and summer months. And Oxford High School sends all of our best wishes to you. Love, Nicole and Peyton, Oxford High School seniors," and they're twins. So it's really just very, very sweet. And I have another example that I want to share with you. This person took the opportunity to create a little drawing, and it reads as follows. "Hi, I'm very excited to be writing to you. I hope you are having an amazing day. With the crazy year we've been having, I think we should all take time to do something for our friends in the community and our seniors. Enjoy the nice warm weather coming soon. Love, Izzy." One more, because this one was really stupendous too. Another card we got from the Dollar Tree. And inside, they took the time to do a flower. Okay. And the card reads as follows. "Happy spring. I know this year hasn't been the best, but there's so much great to look forward to. Warm weather and happy times. I hope you will enjoy it like I will. My name is Autumn. I'm a senior of Oxford High School, and I'm so happy I get to write to you today in these uncertain times. Everyone deserves a friend. Keep smiling and spreading love and joy." So again, you guys, the focus is, it's a very simple way to reach out to someone that you don't know that may feel a little isolated or feel a little lonely or needs a pick-me-up, and they want to know that they matter, and they want to know that youth and other folks in the community are thinking of them. So we're really excited about this program. Now, here's an opportunity for students like yourself with your high schools, and along with the participation of your advisors. You can consider starting a campaign to write letters. And sure, it can be for seniors, but what about your local hospital? You can contact your local hospital and see if they are willing to accept cards right now. It could be EMS, it could be your police department. I actually think you could look at other volunteers in your community. Like in our area, we have a breast cancer foundation called Seymour Pink. And maybe we should take time to thank them and write them a letter for their volunteer work for the community. The really cool part about this organization is on their website. If your school agrees in doing a card campaign and your advisors agree, you can actually log online and let them know how much time you've spent creating these letters for others, and you can get community hours, which is, I think, a wonderful idea as well. So I know I've given you a lot of information, and I think what I'd really like to say is the most important thing we can do right now is to think of others. When you think of others, I don't know about you, but it makes me feel really good. And if you're feeling down, the best way to combat that is to make someone else feel better and feel up. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. I know there's a lot of you on there, which is exciting, and I'm happy to answer any quick questions that you may have. No?
Diana, how can we get involved in Grateful Vibes Only?
Say that again.
How can we get involved in Grateful Vibes Only?
Oh, how can you get involved in Grateful Vibes Only? Oh, that's such a great question. Thank you so much. Well, here's what I would do. I'm going to give you guys my direct email address, and I'll spell it out for you. It's DAJANAD.GVO@gmail.com. And that goes directly to me. Thank you very much. The other thing I would like to share is we do have a Facebook page. We do have a website. We're open to looking to ideas. One of the things we definitely want to do is get support from students, whether it's grammar school or high school, or even students that go to the Boys and Girls Club. You know, there's an expression that I love and my team loves. It's called, be the change you wish to see in the world. And I think starting at a young age with individuals like you is how we're going to move forward and keep sharing love and peace. Any other questions? How am I doing on time, Emily?
You are perfect. So we're now going
Oh,
to
wonderful. Well, listen,
actually
you guys, this has been a blessing for me and for our team at Grateful Vibes Only. We're grateful for you, and just keep shining your light. Love.
Thank you so much, Diana.
Aw,
Thank you so much.
my pleasure. Thank you. Be well. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Diana. We're all inspired by the work of your organization. So just a reminder, don't forget to mail your letters to Love for Our Elders at P.O. Box 24248. It should also be in the chat in Cleveland, Ohio. Also, if you're sending it to soldiers, Hugs for Soldiers at P.O. Box 2887.
Yes.
And then any other organization that you are going to send it to.
Okay, yeah, Hug for Our Soldiers. That's based out of Duluth, Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, if you would love to contact your local hospitals, your local EMS, you guys can do that directly within your community.
Yeah. And I think Emily put it in the chat. So if you need them, just copy and paste it and keep it, for reference.